Right now, I'm near Dickinson, in the Badlands of North Dakota. The last time I checked in, I'd just arrived here after crossing Minnesota and the eastern edge of the Dakotas. A lot of interstate, a lot of flat, honest miles, but not the kind that leave much of a mark. These last 2 days left a mark. Over these 2 days, I rode about 420 miles of scenic byways and national park loops. I had bison encounters that were almost too close for comfort, and I saw endless vistas of the national grasslands. I can't remember how many times I found myself saying wow into my helmet. If this sounds like something you'd enjoy, please like, subscribe, and leave a comment. When I'm out on a road trip, it's nice to hear from you, and I always appreciate suggestions. The Killdeer Mountain Four Bears Scenic Byway. When I mentioned that I was heading this way on Facebook, my friend Lisa, down in Roanoke, Virginia, told me about this road. 64 miles, starting just north of Manning and running up to Newtown. I'll be honest, the first few miles looked a lot like the highway I'd been trying to escape. Flat, open, the kind of landscape that made me wonder if I was on the right road. But as I got closer to the Little Missouri River, the Badlands began, and everything changed. The river had shaped this region, and the road started to wind, and climb, and drop. The landscape went from ordinary to surreal. Sculpted buttes, layered colors, formations that don't look like anything else on Earth. By the time I crossed Lake Sakakawea and arrived in Newtown, I was in awe of the landscape. It's a great ride. The Theodore Roosevelt National Park. I spent parts of both days in the park. The north unit on Wednesday and the south unit on Thursday. The park has a reputation. Visit the north unit for the geography and the south unit for the wildlife. But in my experience, both units had plenty of each. The south unit greeted me with a lone bison, sitting in a field just inside the entrance to the Scenic Loop Road. He took the job as park greeter very seriously. He was settled, unbothered, and positioned like he'd been assigned this spot. He wasn't going anywhere, and no one was going to dare try and make him move. I took the loop clockwise, and between Wind Canyon and the Boicourt Overlook, I rode through two separate groups of bison, moving along the road. You slow down, you give them room, and you remind yourself that these animals can run 30 miles an hour and jump 6 feet straight up. And every year there are people and vehicles that lose a confrontation with one of these 2,000 pounds of muscle because they forget to treat them like what they are, completely wild. In the north unit, I had an even closer moment. A dozen or so bison walking along the 14-mile scenic road to the Oxbow Overlook. Cars had stopped ahead of me, and I waited. And then I moved through slowly. A handful on my left, and then one large fellow walking just a few feet to my right. He turned his head and looked at me. He seemed puzzled, maybe. I kept it steady and rode past as unthreateningly as possible. Both of us stayed calm, and all was well. I'd seen bison before, from a car, and on a bike, but from a distance. This was very different. On a motorcycle, there isn't anything between you and whatever happens next. So remember, as they say, don't pet the fluffy cows. The scenery in both units provided views that make the national park entrance fees feel like the deal of a century. But the Bison experiences are what I'll carry with me from this park. Route 16 through the National Grasslands. On the way out of the North Unit, I stopped back at the Visitor Center and talked with a ranger who happened to be from Bucks County, Pennsylvania, about an hour from where I grew up in New Jersey. He told me that construction on Route 85 South made what's usually a quick route back to Dickinson a real headache. And then he said the magic words to a motorcyclist. If you're feeling adventurous, go north, from Grassy Butte, left on 68, and then south on 16. Just grass and sky and the occasional ranch and the road moving through all of it. It was a pleasure that I didn't want to end, but of course it has to. And then it was highway. At one point I passed a woman walking a fully loaded bicycle along the shoulder of I-94 near the Painted Canyon Visitor Center. I stopped to make sure she was okay, and she was fine, just tired from the climb. She said her name was Kay, and she was on her way to New Hampshire. A little research later told me it was almost certainly Kay Schuster, 71 years old, embracing the open road in her own way. Have a great trip. Tomorrow it's off to Custer, the Black Hills of South Dakota, and some of the most classic motorcycle roads in America. I hope you'll stick around. Until the next ride, be safe, be curious, and keep meandering.